Hey there, it's Gabrielle Celeste. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the owner of AGUA Astrology and the co-host of the Spiritual Sisters podcast. Be sure to check out my links below and take a listen to the podcast wherever it is that you tune in and listen to your favorite shows. So today what we're going to be talking about is what makes for a skilled psychic reader. And I had this thought come through to me as I was just really rethinking my offers and taking into account how I got to where I was in terms of offering readings and being a psychic reader myself, and thinking about the process of what I really came to enjoy as a psychic, as a client before I was a practicing psychic, and what I found most helpful in terms of receiving readings and having received so many in the past before I feel as though I've perfected what it is to provide a reading. So I've perfected the art of a psychic reading, in my humble opinion, if you will. In many of my readings, what I do is I blend my intuition with my skill set as an astrologist. But aside from that, looking at it just from the vantage point of psychic readings and providing intuitive readings for whoever is seeking support with, typically areas of life include money, career, love, general, sometimes health. I don't really expand too much onto health, but we can tap into it, of course. And I wanted to put together a YouTube video that highlights maybe certain skill sets that you should be looking for in someone you are seeking a reading from, if they are inclined to provide that on their website, or you've heard via word of mouth. A lot of this industry is based off of word of mouth for sure. And I feel like we're going to hit on those points. So the first one is emotional intelligence. So as a intuitive and as someone who also seeks readings for different areas of life, what I will say is working with an intuitive that has the emotional awareness within themselves, but also has the language to convey whatever emotions are being read, whether they are, emotions that are experienced maybe on like a mental, a physical, emotional, a psychic, or spiritual level, and just being able to just receive that energy, make sense of the energy, transmute it, and then relay it back to the person that is seeking support with whatever it is that they're seeking support with. So for the client, basically. So ensuring that you're working with an intuitive that has the vocabulary, the language, the understanding, and the skill set to be able to decipher and transmute and translate that energy for the client is number one. Something else that I've noticed that makes for a skilled psychic is an intuitive that is not going to project their own healing or issues or wounds onto their client. So what I've also come to acknowledge is that many psychics in this space, or just many psychics in general, what they will do is they will personally experience having clients, or they will have clients that have recently gone through or are going through areas of challenges or areas of life that the psychic has already experienced, because the psychic is either having that mirrored back to them in real time or is able to support them from a place of experience and embodied experience. And so psychics that are not going to project their wounding, their insecurities, their opinions, or their judgments is definitely a second skill set that I think is something to be taken into account. And you may not really know that until you actually work with an intuitive and be like, oh, maybe their energy wasn't the best for me, or it just didn't resonate, or maybe there's just like not an energetic or a frequency match. And I think that actually kind of is a perfect segue into the next point, where keeping that boundary, that separation, that ethic and integrity at the forefront and in the foundation is also very important. So having certain cues, if a psychic is using words like, and these are my personal reference that I'll provide you with, is like saying like, hey, like energy is not fixed, like timelines can change, no timeline is 100%, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Taking that into account and making sure that you're providing feedback and information to the client that is also not going to affect or impose on their free will is critical because, and also, to caveat onto that point, you might also acknowledge and see that a reader will not get information, especially when it comes to predictions, because the client is not supposed to know, because it could affect not only their free will, or maybe it's another party that's involved, like a potential partner, the potential partner's free will. So, and for the reader to also come from a place of integrity and not sharing or just being like, you know what, I'm not getting anything on that, instead of maybe making something up. So those are kind of key points to look for when working with specific psychics or intuitives, because there are a lot of frauds in this space that don't have their best or have people's best interest at heart, and they are, in it for the income. So sometimes just remembering that sometimes predictions aren't supposed to come forth because a person's not meant to know, and observing how the psychic or the intuitive, whatever you want to label them as, is moving through that energy. And again, relaying that information is important to consider. So the final skill set I will speak to is also observing how far into the future or time frame a intuitive is able to look out into. And what I've observed is that intuitives who are looking, 2 to 3 years down the road, you can usually that is a reflection of their skill set, in the sense of how tapped in they are, how well they are at deciphering energy, and just how well they are at understanding, and also the type of access and the type of information they have access to is also reflective of the skill set. So those are some skill sets that I've come to observe, and as part of those who are highly tapped in or just skilled psychic readers, and also like their bedside mannerisms, if you will, their bedside manner, like how comfortable they make you feel with really heavy topics that you're looking into, because a lot of this work can sometimes be really challenging, and it's not always light and fun, and it can be dark. And so just really feeling safe in an intuitive's energy is very important too. So yeah, those are skill sets I would look for within a psychic that is talented and can really hold the capacity of and hold space for you. And yeah, I hope that was helpful. So I'll see you in the next one.